Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Larry Kim. I'm the founder and CTO of WordStream, and I'm joined with my colleague, Adam Shane. He's a product manager here at WordStream, and we're excited to present to you our webinar this week entitled Getting More for Less, Cutting Costs with Negative Keywords and WordStream Saving Words. And an exciting presentation prepared for you today, and I thought before jumping into the agenda, I just open it up with a kind of an open question. Why should people care about negative keywords? People ask me that all the time, and I think the answer has to do with that paid search. It's a very highly cost-effective way to target your prospects and your potential customers. But even within paid search, there's always sort of these weird search queries and keywords that you get matched against in your account that you could, if you could find them, if you could only find them and you could eliminate them, you would definitely be able to improve your ROI anywhere from 10 to 30%. And so basically there's no downside here. By finding and eliminating wasteful spending in your existing AdWords account, you're taking the budget that would have been going to these ridiculous, dumb keyword searches that aren't relevant to your business, and instead shifting that spend over towards more relevant searches. And so that's why I think I'm so bullish on negative keywords. It's literally the only way in AdWords where you can get more for less. So that's kind of the quick overview. Let's talk about the agenda. We're going to start off with just a little bit of background information around what's negative keywords. Don't worry if you already know this, it'll be quick. But most of the time we're going to be spending today is around actionable, practical strategies for finding negative keywords. And as part of this, I'm going to introduce a new technology from WordStream called Savings Alerts. And this is a powerful new way of helping you quickly identify the wasteful spending in your account and get that out of there. We'll also be talking a little bit about negative keyword research workflow. So what's a kind of a good way to think about doing negative keyword research, and then ways to figure out if you're doing enough compared to other competitors in your space. And of course, this is a live broadcast, so I encourage you to ask any questions that come to mind. To ask me a question, you just type something into the chat console in the right-hand side of your screen, and that'll show up in the chat window on my screen, so I can see that and respond to that. Or if not, we'll get to all your questions at the end of the presentation. Okay. So let's start with some quick introductions. My name is Larry Kim. I've been doing paid and organic search for a couple years now, and 3 years ago I founded WordStream. We're a provider of keyword research tools and PPC management tools, and we're trying to help people, small businesses like you, get their businesses found on the internet. Adam, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Adam Shane. I had the pleasure of joining Larry at WordStream a little over a year ago after completing my MBA, and prior to that, worked at a small digital agency.
Cool. And he's also a graduate of BAPS. He claims
sure. #1 ranked MBA program in the country for entrepreneurship. You can look it up. Something like 17 years running. We got a lock on that, on the #1 ranking.
Thanks for that advertisement, Adam. Adam, do you think you could help bring us all up to speed on sort of what are negative keywords and just so we're all on the same page?
Yeah, exactly. Just so we're all operating off of kind of the same definition. A negative keyword basically is a keyword that tells Google not to show your ad for searches that contain that term. So, for example, the negative keyword worst would prevent your ad from showing up on searches containing the word. For example, worst restaurant in Boston. If you're a restaurant in Boston, you might be bidding on the term restaurant or restaurant in Boston, but you don't want to necessarily be associated with worst restaurant in Boston. A couple other small differences about negative keywords is that they're located in a slightly different place within the AdWords interface, and you can also add negative keywords on the campaign level. So if you have a keyword, for example, worst, that you know you want to apply to every single ad group, you can just add it once at the top campaign level. And to dive a little deeper into really why we need negative keywords, we just looked at the example of worst, but you might say, why am I showing up on worst in the first place? That's not intuitive to me. And the reason is that Google's default match type is called broad match, which means that they'll match the keywords you're bidding on to variations, misspelling, synonyms, related terms. Basically, Google will cast a very wide net to try to get your ad in front of as many people as possible. So in our example here, Nike shoes, you're specifically telling Google, I want to, I deal with Nike shoes, that's what I'm bidding on, and Google can show you for someone who types in Nike shoes or a phrase match kind of buy Nike shoes online, you still have that Nike shoes phrase, but they'll also show you for an expanded match. In this case, Adidas slippers, because Adidas is kind of like Nike and slippers are kind of like shoes, so Google says, what the heck, we'll throw you up there and hopefully you're relevant.
And folks, if you think this is kind of a ridiculous example, Nike shoes, who's going to show my ad on Adidas slippers? I just want to point out that this example I copied and pasted from the Google website in terms of their AdWords help desk, and this is the actual example that they quoted. Adidas slippers for Nike shoes, even though I don't think that they're that close, at all. Isn't that a bit of a problem?
It's definitely a stretch, and if you're a retailer or someone online and you don't sell Adidas slippers, that's something that's hurting you. It's either resulting in a click that isn't going to translate into a conversion, so you're paying for something that you don't need, or it's going to hurt your quality score or your click-through rate, because someone's going to look at your ad and say, well, I'm not looking for Nike shoes, I'm looking for Adidas slippers, and move right along.
I think the challenge is you know more about your business than Google does. And
yep.
So,
and Google's business is getting their ads in front of as many people as possible. So if no one's bidding on Adidas slippers, they want to make sure there are some ads up there.
All right. So
I guess the next question is, why do we even need this broad match option? Why give Google the opportunity to match us against something like Adidas slippers?
Sure. I think if you're just using exact match keywords in your account, you definitely wouldn't need any negative keywords in your account. But there's just a couple of statistics that I would like to show you that come from Google. One of them is they said that 70% of the queries that trigger ads on Google AdWords have no exact matched keywords, meaning no advertiser has thought to add those keywords on exactly. And another interesting statistic is that 20% of the searches that happen on Google every day are unique, meaning they've never been searched on before and Google's never seen them before. And so the reason why we kind of need broad match, I think has to do with gaining impressions for searches that you might have not thought of, because even if you do a really good job of trying to think of all of the different ways people are searching for your products and services, you're never going to figure out all of them, and in fact you'll probably miss out on the majority of them, as you can see by these statistics. And so the challenge here is that some of them are going to be relevant, some of them are going to be less relevant, and some of them are going to be completely irrelevant. And the tip that I have here has to do with trying to combine the use of broad match with negative keywords so that you can get kind of the yin and the yang here. You can get both a combination of quality and quantity.
So Larry, I think it makes sense to me, and I think it makes sense to a lot of advertisers out there in terms of allowing Google to cast that wide net, but also restricting Google in terms of what they can show. And it's very nice in theory, but from a strategic point of view, kind of what strategies are there that advertisers can be using right now to help find those negative keywords?
There's a couple different strategies we can talk about. One of them has to do with brainstorming a big list of negative keywords. And so this is kind of like the example that we gave with the worst restaurant at the beginning, where we said think of all the words and word modifiers that you don't want to be associated with, like cheap or free or worst. These kind of reveal something about the intent of the searcher that aren't really aligned with maybe what you're selling or what your objectives are for PPC. You can add all those that big list of keywords as campaign level negatives in your account.
Okay, so that makes sense. What about kind of keyword tools or kind of sort of proactive tools that so I can prevent people from searching on these terms before I actually pay for them?
Sure. The problem with brainstorming is that, like, you're just thinking of stuff off the top of your head, and sometimes you need some tools and automation. And so one of the things that you can use is keyword tools and negative keyword suggestion tools. And I'll show you a little bit about this in a few minutes. But basically, if you do a search on a keyword tool or a negative keyword tool, what it'll show you is other variations, of the word that you're trying to target. But in that set of variations, there's going to be some variations that are kind of relevant to your business and some that aren't. And so the trick is that you want to use that list to try to anticipate some of the searches that are going to be irrelevant to your business, and try to, in a proactive way, set those as negative keywords so that your ad group is doing well from the get-go as soon as it goes live.
So kind of taking a little more of a data-driven approach, looking at some of the search volume and trying to take a guess that way of what's coming in.
Yeah, it's a guessing game, and you'll do better with this guessing game if you have some tools and automation.
Makes a lot of sense. What about kind of if I've already run my campaign for some time, I have a lot of people who have searched on terms that aren't necessarily relevant to me. How do I translate that into a negative keyword so that I stop people from searching that way in the future?
So that's one of the richest sources of negative keywords is the junk that's already in your account. Like if you can do some data analysis on the search query reports and the data in your AdWords accounts to figure out how people actually searched on your ads and what they were looking for before they clicked on the link to your site, and by reviewing that list, you can kind of figure out what keywords are interesting to your business and what aren't, and you can weed those out, the junk out. Although it can be a little bit mind-numbing and overwhelming if not done in a smart way. Overall, in terms of all these three strategies for finding negative keywords, I think the one big tip that I have has to do with paying attention to word modifiers, keyword modifiers. So when someone does a search on Google, they're basically asking a question, or they have some kind of a problem, like where can I get online motorcycle insurance or something like that. They're asking a question, and if you can pay really close attention to the word modifiers used in the actual search, then you can kind of get a good idea of what the intent of the searcher was, and you can weed out certain people who might not be interested in what you have to offer. I can just give you an example of say you're a local web development company, like doing web consulting work in Boston, and you're a small business, you're bidding on web development because that's sort of what you do, and you'd think that makes sense because web development, that's core to your business. But there's a lot of different word modifiers that can kind of clue you into different intentions on the parts of the searchers, like web development jobs. So that's an unemployed guy who's looking for work, not necessarily someone who's going to buy your services. So jobs is the negative. Web development software. Software means they're trying to automate all this stuff, and then so that they don't need web developers, so they can update their site by themselves or whatever, or so they can build it themselves. So that's software could be a negative if you're a service provider. Similarly, like say if you're doing Java development, web development, and not PHP, then PHP becomes a negative. Or Chicago. Maybe you're based in Boston, so you don't take Chicago contracts. All of these different facets and word modifiers can be kind of detected and then negated to improve your ROI.
It makes a lot of sense to me, Larry, and I totally get the brainstorming. I think it would be helpful if we took a look though at some of those keyword tools that you were talking about, just to kind of show the audience what this means and how someone would use it.
Sure, I'd love to show. Like I said, I was going to show you the keyword suggestion tools, like methodology of finding negative keyword ideas. And so, one of the tools I'm going to show you here is this keyword suggestion tool. You can use any keyword suggestion tool, but WordStream has a really powerful long-tail keyword suggestion tool.
We're just a little biased.
We got to pay the bills. So I'm going to do the same example, web development, and I'm going to hit get keyword ideas. And basically what's going to happen is, WordStream, it's going to dig deep into our trillion keyword database. We've got this really rich long-tail keyword research database that has trillions of different ways of searching for the word, different words. And then in this case, we found 13,000 different ways of searching on something as specific as web development, and we're showing the top 1,000. Now, like I was saying before, we're looking for modifiers like software or Sacramento or Michigan. We're looking for modifiers that might indicate that the intention is not a good fit for the products or services that we're offering. And one of the challenges of doing it this way has to do with the fact that the list is so big. You see how there's 13,196 keywords. That could take all day or all week to review, and you'd probably go blind and get mad at search marketing. You'd hate it. And so one of the tools that we've created has to do with the negative keyword tool, and it's very powerful. You can do the same search, web development, and do a search. And the way that this is a little different is that it rolls up the results. So rather than having to review a huge list of 13,000 possible keywords for relevancy, we've kind of rolled it up into the sort of the top 50. For example, like the word software, that probably shows up in hundreds of those those results on the previous tool where it had 13,000 results. But it's going to be the same modifier, the word software. And so we're just rolling it up to kind of cut to the chase, if you will. And we're providing these really helpful tools where you can say, like, web development design might be relevant, so that clears it from the list. Whereas web development software, that might not be relevant because that means they're trying to do it themselves. Same with web development jobs, and free is probably bad, etc. So it's really easy to start seeing how you could build up your own negative keyword list here, and it's going to be really helpful. And it's going to help you compile a very powerful, quick list of negative keywords so that you can set them to your campaign and have your ad groups be working well from the get-go. So that's kind of the an example of the tools for doing negative keyword research.
Okay. So first of all, thank you. I think I definitely enjoyed seeing those. Hopefully everyone else did. Let's look actually at the next thing you were talking about too, in terms of mining your own search query data for people who have already clicked on your site.
Sure. That's this other thing. In Google, there's such a thing called a search query report, and the search query report will give you a list of all the ways that people searched for your ads. To get to the search query report, you go to the keyword tab, as shown in this illustration, and you click on the All button, and then it'll show you all the search queries. And here's what it would look like. Now, I have to obfuscate the rows of data because it's proprietary client data. But what you could do is you could review this big list of different keywords and look at their performance, see what's working, what's not working, and set negatives according to the search queries that aren't relevant to your business.
So, Larry, thank you for pointing that out. And I think what Larry's trying to highlight here too is, especially if your campaign gets a lot of traffic, and we saw earlier what percentage of searches are new and aren't matched for. In this case, we have 130,000 pages, give or take, of different search queries to review. It's kind of an astounding number, and I think for most of us, myself included, we don't have our lives to devote to looking through huge lists of these search queries.
Right. I tell people that it's a path to madness, and in fact, what happens is people they get so annoyed at this kind of work that they kind of get burnt out and then become complacent, and then they figure it's not even worth doing any of this negative keyword research because it's just too mind-numbing and too time-consuming. And so that's not a good attitude, because these negative keywords are really valuable. It's just it has to do with sort of the workflow and being more effective and being more efficient. And so I wanted to introduce to you this new technology from WordStream. It's called savings alerts, and it's a really powerful new technology. Think of it as kind of like a laser-guided bomb for finding junk in your campaigns, in your accounts. We're going to do all the work of finding the junk keywords in your account. How do we do it? There's 100 different signals in the algorithm. We look at all the relevancies of the keywords to your ads, and to your landing pages, and your quality scores and your conversions and all that sophisticated data analysis that would take you forever to do. We crunch the numbers and we give you a list, and the list is really simple. It's just like, here are kind of the summary findings. It's like the executive summary. These are the worst performing junk in your account that we think that we advise you to dump or set as a negative keyword in your account. It's really quick, super easy, super powerful, and the idea here is 20 minutes a week can save you 20% or more on AdWords.
Larry, I feel like I've heard that slogan someplace before. Is that original to WordStream?
With our marketing team there, they would never use some other company's slogan.
Next thing you know, we're going to have a little lizard as our mascot.
I like it. It kind of rolls off the tongue. 20 minutes a week. More than, it's like, 6-minute ads or something.
Well, after 6 minutes, you need 5-minute ads.
Right. So here's how it works. You would just click on the ad or no, not the ad, but the alert, the kind of the warning thing it's like on your dashboard that says critical savings alert brought to your attention by WordStream's alert stream, and it will bring up a window, and this window will give you the information that you need to make the decisions, the most important decisions in your account. It'll say, we've analyzed your account. We've found $437 of savings, of annual savings in this account. And keep in mind, this is annual savings, because the thing with negative keywords is that the junk just keeps piling up and piling up and piling up. If people are clicking on junk keywords in your account today, they probably will tomorrow, and they will next month and the month after, unless you do something about it, right? So the savings, you got to think of them as like, as continuous waste, like that's going to happen for the life of your AdWords account, and so using our sophisticated technology, we can just figure out how much you've actually wasted on a word. In this case, it's like custom lab coats. So this particular advertiser, he's one of our customers. I know that he does sells like uniforms and stuff like this, but he doesn't do custom stuff. That's like custom tailoring or embroidery. That's done by another company, and that's not core to his business. He's more into like the bulk ordering, and so this particular savings alert, it's brought to his attention that the word custom is generated 113 clicks. It doesn't seem to be relevant to his business. The idea is that you just set the keyword as a negative keyword here by clicking that little box on the right side and saying apply. That's so easy. It's so much easier than looking through 127,000 pages of search query report data.
Trying to piece together how many of those have the word custom in them, and then deciding whether or not it's relevant and what impact it's taking.
It would just take forever, and people wouldn't even bother to do it because it takes forever. But here we've kind of made it in a digestible form that's 20 minutes a week. Yeah, I think it's worth 20 minutes a week to save 20% on my AdWords account, and look at these savings. $159 just for making that one change. All that, all of that money per year gets now allocated to more productive, more conversion-friendly words that are more relevant to my business. And by the way, this WordStream's a learning system. So what I mean by this is, if you disagree with one of the suggestions, just say, skip. Like don't set it as negatives, and WordStream will learn and kind of get smarter and suggest even smarter ideas for you, next week.
So, I think we just spoke a lot about the different strategies for setting negative keywords and why they're important. Larry, can you just kind of walk us through the workflow of negative keyword research?
Yeah, the key to negative keyword research is your workflow. If you're going to just do mine the search query report, then you can actually generate negative ROI. What I mean by that is that the time and energy spent on doing that task is going to be like far greater than the amount of savings that you're going to generate in the account. So the workflow, it has to do with like, it's a continuous task. It's not something that you do once. It's kind of like an exercise routine or weeding your PPC garden. A couple tips that I have. One is to be proactive. Before launching any new ad group, raise your right hand and swear that you're going to do a little bit of negative keyword research to go along with the new ad group whenever you set a new ad group live into the AdWords auction. The other tip I have has to do with don't go too crazy, and that's what I meant by using productive tools like our WordStream savings alerts to keep the time commitment down to 10 to 20 minutes a week. Focusing on sort of the high priority stuff, and just think of it as more of a process. 20 minutes a week will save you 20% on AdWords. Any thoughts about that, Adam?
Yeah, I think that's good. I think it's maintenance really is what it comes down to, because new keywords are always coming in, new search queries are always coming in, and so if you don't react, I really like the gardening analogy, right? Because the weeds keep popping up. And if you look at my lawn, you'll see it's covered with weeds because I haven't done enough, and at that point it really becomes a daunting task.
So, one other question in terms of workflow that people often ask me is sort of am I doing enough negative keyword research? How much should I do? How much is enough? We've created this new free tool this week. It's called the AdWords Grader, AdWords Performance Grader, and it's designed to help small businesses like you figure out how am I doing in my negative keyword research compared to other advertisers in a similar spend range. Adam worked on this project. Do you want to talk to people about this a little bit?
Yeah. So I think, like you said, this is a tool that we're pretty proud of. We think it's really cool and provides a lot of new information that wasn't necessarily accessible to advertisers before. And what we do is we look at a lot of the different metrics in your account. So like you said, the number of negative keywords. We look at quality score, click-through rate, number of text ads, kind of a whole range of things, and let you know how you're doing relative to other advertisers who are spending a similar amount of money. So
you mean you wouldn't compare like Geico spending $30 million a month to like Joe's insurance company, who might be spending $100 a month, even though they're both kind of in the same insurance industry?
That's right, because they're just it's comparing apples to oranges at that point, and we want to let people have a sense of really how they're doing, both so that they know where they stand and what they can do to improve their account, and also so they know really how they stand, or where they stand, I should say, relative to other people. So you may think you're doing great, and in fact you find that, other people are doing a lot better than me. Or on the flip side, you might think that, I just can't get my click-through rate up beyond whatever the percentage is, and really you find that for your spend range, you're doing pretty good.
So this 59 means, like, just to clarify, it doesn't mean I got an F. It means I'm beating 59 out of 100 people in the spend range.
Yeah, so there you're doing a little above average.
Above average. So, let's try to make it relevant to our presentation. Can you tell me about the different metrics, like the wasted spend metric? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, so for wasted spend, we're looking at the number of negative keywords that have been added in the past 30 and 90 days to get a sense of almost how much weeding you're doing, to track back to what we were talking about before. If you are adding negatives consistently, then you're probably doing okay. And we try to relate that, like we did in the savings alert, to what sort of spend or wasted spend we can project based on your current spending and the number of negative keywords you're adding. So there's actually a lot here, right? In this case, you can see we're projecting that we see, I should say, that there was $1,300 of wasted spend in the past 3 months, past 90 days, and then we project that out to a year to give you a sense of what you could be saving and how you can be improving your account.
So it looks like this advertiser in this phony report here, he's doing an okay job on negative keywords, although there's definitely a little bit of room for improvement if you want it to be sort of an overachiever, right?
Yep, exactly. There's always more work that you can be doing, even if you're kind of ahead of the pack a little bit in terms of your performance. And there's a lot of stuff in there. I would encourage everyone to take a look. Like Larry said, this is a completely free tool, and is designed to give you more information so that you know where to focus your attention and also to provide you a little bit of validation in terms of, hey, am I doing well? Am I not doing well? How do I stack up to some of the other advertisers in my spend range?
Great. So let's go back to our presentation. I'm
going to throw in one more plug. You can find the grader at www.wordstream.com/Google-AdWords.
You know, just one thing I'll add. I've been doing like search marketing for like 10 years, and the quality of this kind of reporting, it's stuff that search marketing experts actually charge money for. You know, like they'll typically do kind of this initial engagement where they try to figure out how you're doing and that kind of stuff, do some general analysis. And you know, back when I was doing search marketing a couple years ago, I would actually charge like $1,000 for this kind of work. So it's definitely free and definitely a lot of value, I think. So let's just wrap up the presentation, Adam.
Sounds great.
So I think in terms of the negative keyword message that we were kind of talking about today, if I could kind of wrap everything up into just 3 key takeaway items, I would say, first, I'm a strong believer in negative keywords. What's the best way to get instant ROI out of your account? It's negative keywords, negative keywords, negative keywords. And how much can you get? It's typically, I find, anywhere from 10 to 30% of wasted spend. Like when you look at your search query reports and stuff like this, there's a lot of junk in there, and you always can get 10 to 30%. It's very typical. Another takeaway, negative keyword research. It's so hard. It's like if you do it manually, that is. Like it's so hard that people don't even want to do it. They don't want to think about it. It's like doing the laundry or something. It's like the pay-per-click equivalent of water torture. But there's tools. So that's important that it's not, the solution isn't to kind of like not do anything. It's to be more efficient and leverage technology and tools and automation to kind of give you leverage so that you're finding these opportunities and taking advantage of them. And lastly, I'd say like Adam was saying, it's like weeding your garden. It's an ongoing task. It's not a one-time thing. There's always going to be new junk in your account, and you got to keep on top of it. And I'm thinking like 10 to 20 minutes a week. That seems like a pretty good trade-off for like a 10 to 30% improvement in AdWords. Adam, anything to add?
No, I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Okay. Well, at this point, Laura is going to take it for questions, and I believe that there's a poll even. Laura, are you there?
I am here.
Hey, Laura.
Hi. So you guys are having a lot of fun. That's great. We do have, there's a poll up there, and if folks are interested in seeing a personalized demo with their account data to see what kind of savings alerts are available to them, they can let us know through this poll, or of course sign up for a trial and connect their AdWords account and see this functionality in action. But we do have questions.
And just before getting into the questions, if I could just make a plug for the demo. We get a lot of people when we demo the savings alerts to potential clients, that when they see all the junk in their account, it's such a shocking experience that they're like, can you click that button for me and then make those changes? So I highly recommend taking Laura up on the offer. For the sort of the investigative work in your account. It's free and no obligation, of course. So, Laura, do we have any other questions from our audience?
We do have questions. Okay, so there is a question about, do you recommend using negative keywords in ad groups to help target other ad groups?
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of a. So I think in today's presentation we were describing the use of negative keywords as kind of a defensive weapon in your account, where you can stop junk from appearing in your account. But you can also use, this is a little bit more advanced, you can also use negative keywords as a kind of a, taming Google, trying to from running amok in your campaigns. Let me give you an example. Say Google often with Broadmatch, you could have similar ads or similar keywords, but with different ads, and with your intention being like, if they search on this, I would like to show ad A, and if they search on B, I would like to show ad B. But if you're using Broadmatch, sometimes Google will just go in and pick whatever the heck ad it wants to show, and even if it wasn't necessarily the ad that you had intended them to see. And so in that case, using like negative keywords could actually help with targeting of your ad groups to kind of force Google's hands, making sure that it's going to show the ad that you had intended for that particular search query and nothing else. Any other questions, Laura?
Yeah, there absolutely. There's a question about the effect that negative keywords has or could have on your quality score. So we all know quality score is incredibly important in determining your position. And will using too many negative keywords or too little affect your quality score?
Well, first of all, there's no penalty for using negative keywords. They highly recommend it. It's a Google best practice to use negative keywords to be more targeted. Now, when it comes to how will it impact your quality score, it's kind of a yes and no answer. Google says that a keyword quality score is calculated based on the exact match share of impressions for a particular keyword in your account. So like Broadmatch searches for Adidas slippers wouldn't count towards your Nike shoe keyword quality score. However, other factors used in quality score include the click-through rate of your account, the click-through rate of your campaigns and your ad groups, and negative keywords will definitely improve your account and your campaign click-through rates. So I think it'll definitely improve your account click-through rate, and that's one of the factors of quality score. One thing I'm absolutely certain of is that it will save you money.
All right. There's another question in terms of campaign or ad group structure. Should ad groups contain multiple match types within that group, or should they be separated out by match type?
I've seen both. What do you think, Adam?
So it's tough. I would agree. I've seen it done both ways, and in some cases it depends on what the advertiser and what resonates more closely with the advertiser. I personally like the idea of having more of a broad group and then more of an exact group, and kind of using the broad ad group to
like a farming,
generate
generate
new keywords that you can then take and shuffle into.
Graduate the winners from
Exactly.
your proving ground to like the more restrictive match type ad groups. I've seen the opposite where they just have the keyword in triplicate in different match types, and in that case it's important that you have apply a kind of a bid strategy where you're bidding slightly more for the exact match keyword, slightly less for the phrase match, slightly less for the broad match, just so that the broad match doesn't run amok and step all over everything.
Another question that the advertiser can use to help guide that decision is the number of keywords. So if you have a strategy where you're having each ad group have 3 keywords in for each of the match types, if you have 1,000 different keywords that you're doing this for, like all of a sudden your campaign structure is just enormous and very difficult to manage. So to a certain extent, it can depend on how the account itself is structured and how much time you have to dedicate.
So I guess it depends.
So it seems like there's no clear yes or no. It depends.
Depends on your objectives and how you want to structure your account.
Great. Okay. There's a question. How do you pull up the actual search terms that Google uses to match yours?
It was in one of our slides here. I'll just it's right here. Keywords tab. Go to See Select Search Terms and click All. WordStream provides a really powerful tool called QueryStream, which kind of makes this data more actionable, more visible. It'll show you, it's a tab right next to the keywords tab called Search Queries. So, it has like a lot of filtering options and stuff that will make this data more easy to work with.
Okay, and there was a question about, actually 2 questions that had to do with different geographies. So there's a question of, is this the case for the UK too, or is it purely focused on the US, focusing on the US? So I think the question, the intent is, do negatives work the same in all geographies?
Yeah, I mean, negative keywords are negative keywords in what they do. I think it's important for all advertisers to be aware of their geography, as different search terms are going to crop up depending on kind of cultural or linguistic differences. But as a basic definition, a negative keyword is a negative keyword, regardless of where you are.
Okay, and then there's a question about the negative keyword tool that you demoed, and that does it support other languages besides English, such as French?
There's a small percentage of our trillion keyword database that's in French. I guess even if it was like 3% or something, that would still be millions of keywords, and you could definitely you type in French words into the negative keyword tool and see what comes up. But the coverage is going to be a little less because it's more focused on English language.
Okay. There's a question, when you use the search query report in Google to determine negative keywords, does it eliminate the whole phrase? What if part of the long tail is valid?
I don't know whether the question was about kind of how the operation actually occurs in Google. What we would recommend and what we allow you to do within QueryStream is to either set the entire term as a negative, and you can edit the term, or you can actually kind of mouse over a specific word. So I've spoken to advertisers who will set a specific year as a negative keyword. So maybe it's a conference, but the wrong year, and they want to make sure they're only shown for the relevant year, and they can just set the piece of that long tail that they don't want to appear for as a negative keyword. So I think conceptually the negative can be anything that you want, whatever you set that keyword to be. And often cases, particularly when you're looking at the long tail, you do want to select only the term that you don't want to be appearing for. So to track it back to one of the earlier examples, worst restaurant, Boston.
Keep Boston, keep restaurant, but negate worst.
Exactly.
So when you're looking at a long tail search query, there's going to be some word or word modifier that's kind of a little bit discriminating, kind of like, oh, well, I didn't want that word, and so that's the one that the one that's the most discriminating should be set as the negative keyword.
Okay, and then there's a question about which match setting should negative keywords be in. Do you place most as broad match, phrase match, or exact match?
Well, usually if I'm going to set something as negative, it's because I kind of don't like it, and so in that case, I usually use broad match because I just want to knock it out, like all the keywords containing that word.
But I'll say it actually depends for me on the number of words that you're setting as a negative. So if I have a 2-word combination that I want to be a negative, then I'll use phrase because there may be things or particular associations that are better served as a negative. I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head, but something like space shuttle as 2 distinct words. I might want to be a phrase so that I'm never shown for space shuttle, but maybe I want to be shown for something else involving the word space. Right, space saver. I don't want to kill space. I just want to kill an instance where those 2 words appear together.
Okay, great. And then the last question I have in here is about the negative keyword. I'm actually not sure if the question is about the grader or the negative keyword tool. So there was a question about the URLs for a free report on negative keywords, and so we can share both the URL for the grader, and then I would also share the URL for the negative keyword tool.
So it's right here.
Google-AdWords for the grader, and that's an entire account evaluation. And then we also have a tool that you can try for free, which is a negative keyword suggestion tool, and that's negative-keywords, wordstream.com, negative-keywords.
We use a very literal script of URLs here.
Yes.
All right. So sounds like that's all the time we have today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. In summary, we highly recommend you to check out the free tools and to try out the demo. We think there's a tremendous amount of value, and if there's one key takeaway here, negative keywords. It's you can get more for less. You can do it, and the junk is in their account. It's like no account doesn't have junk in it, and we can help you find and eliminate that stuff. All right. Thanks, guys, and have a good day.
Thank you very much.